Hello, everybody, welcome back to Gyanan. This is the series of 100 Things Every Designer Needs to Know About People audiobook. How people focus their attention. People can't actually multitask. Chapter 46. I know it's popular to think that you're multitasking, but the research is clear. People can't actually multitask. There is one specific possible exception that I'll get into in a moment. For many years, psychology research has shown that people can attend to only one task at a time. You can only think about one thing at a time. You can only conduct one mental activity at a time. So you can talk or you can read. You can read or you can type. You can listen or you can read. One thing at a time. We're pretty good at switching back and forth quickly, so we think we are multitasking. But in reality, we are not. One possible exception. Research has uncovered one possible exception. If you're doing a physical task that you have done very, very often and you're very good at, then you can do that physical task while you're doing a mental task. So, if you're an adult, you have learned to walk, then you can walk and talk at the same time. Well, maybe. Even walking and talking doesn't always work very well. A study by Ira Hyman, 2009, showed that people talking on their cell phones while walking ran into people, literally, more often, and did not notice what was around them. The researchers had someone in a clown suit ride a unicycle. The people talking on cell phone were much less likely to notice or remember the clown. Driving while cell phone is an attention problem. In many parts of the US, it is now illegal to drive while holding a cell phone. But it is okay to use cell phone while driving if you have a hands-free phone. There's a flaw in this thinking. It's not the holding of a phone that is a problem. It's the conversation that you're having with the person. When you have a phone conversation, your attention is on the conversation, and therefore your attention is not on driving. It is an attention problem, not hands-free problem. Overhearing someone talk on a cell phone is more annoying than overhearing two people in a conversation. One-sided conversation or half-log uses more of your mental resources because the information is less predictable. You're in suspense, wondering what you're missing in the other half of the conversation. Lauren Amberson, 2010, tested participants on different mental tasks. They performed much better on tasks they heard both sides of a cell phone call than when they heard a half log. The researchers controlled for acoustic factors, quality of sound, and so on. So they concluded that this difference occurs because of half log is unpredictable. Because participants are thinking about the half of the conversation they're missing. They're not paying attention to task at hand. Do age and multitasking experience make a difference? E.L. Ophir and Clifford Nass 2009 conducted a series of studies on college students and determined that they were no better at multitasking than the general population. They developed a questionnaire which asked people how many different media they use simultaneously. They picked people who were either end of the spectrum, heavy media multitaskers and light media multitaskers. Next, they had people from each group perform several tasks. For example, they showed people two red rectangles alone, or two red rectangles surrounded by 4 or 6 blue rectangles. These objects were flashed twice, and the participants had to decide whether the two red rectangles had moved from the first flash to the second. They were supposed to ignore the blue rectangles. What they found was opposite to what they thought they would find. The light media multitaskers were able to ignore the blue rectangles, but the heavy media multitasker had a hard time ignoring the blue rectangles and therefore did much worse on the task. Next, they tried that involved letters and numbers. The results were always the same. Heavy media multitaskers were actually more distracted by irrelevant stimuli than the light media multitaskers and performed poorly on the tasks. Watch the video on multitasking research. Here's the link to the video. Key takeaways. People will tell you they can multitask, but actually they can't. Those who describe themselves as great multitaskers are probably the worst at it. Young people do not multitask better than older people. Avoid forcing people to multitask. It is difficult for them to do two things at once. For example, have a conversation with a customer while filling out a form on a computer or tablet device. If people must multitask, pay particular attention to the usability of the form. If you require people to multitask, expect them to make lots of errors and build in ways for them to fix errors afterwards. Driving while having a cell phone conversation is like driving under the influence of alcohol. To be continued. Thank you for watching the video. Like, share, subscribe.